was 11 years old. That was the first rated R movie I ever saw.
I was 10.
Yeah, so we're very similar
ages.
That was huge for me, though. It was a big one. I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I didn't know what that meant, but it was awesome for me.
So we're both on the precipice of midlife crisis.
Yeah, that's right.
Congratulations on the film.
Cheers. Thanks.
Watching it yesterday, it reminded me just how amazing cinema can be in terms of scope and scale and the CGI and everything else. I know I think you tweeted last week or in the last couple of weeks about you've finished it. When you watched it for the final time, did it still have the same kind of power and everything that you did watched it the very first time?
If I'm being honest, no. I mean, it's been almost 5 years that I've been on this movie. You know, almost something like that when we first asked what we'd do with this thing. So it's been an incredibly long journey, but it never fails to, like, you know, impress me what Weta and what we kind of as a team collectively kind of achieved on a technical level. This is sheer spectacle of it all. It's definitely stunning. But unfortunately now with the movie, all I can see are the choices. I just see, oh, there was that thing we were struggling with, and oh, there's that issue that we solved, or that cut that frame that we added, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's all this minutia. For like a year and a half, I think we were in post editing this thing, and so just the level of detail that everyone focuses on is really, people just don't appreciate it, I don't think. You know, where it's like, forget about the CGI. What about that little blade of grass or that leaf in the background that's blowing in the wrong way because it's kind of distracting? It comes down to that level of detail. You know, it's just crazy, but it's incredibly fun, you know, to, like, you know, especially for someone like me. I'm like kind of a perfectionist in that way, you know, and I just love that you can craft this stuff. But, you know, like most things, was it Kubrick or whatever he said, you know, films are abandoned, not finished. You know, this was pulled away from me because I could have kept working on this thing for forever, you know.
You know, obviously you started the process a long time ago, and obviously you had COVID kind of in between, which, you know, with these big studio movies, sometimes it's about getting it quick. They want it in the cinema for a certain day, particularly over history. But that must have helped in such a great way in terms of that you were able to take a little bit more time than maybe you would have got if you weren't.
It's a good point.
COVID, potentially.
Yeah, and that's possible. Yeah, I mean, the COVID thing definitely put sort of the brakes on it. We were just starting to write the script when COVID hit, and we were already doing Zoom meetings anyway. So it just kind of eased right into that. Only thing that was unfortunate, I had to shut down my art team that was also going full steam and just kind of doing a lot. We did a lot of art for this movie to visualize everything. But yeah, it was a good process, and you know, we focused really hard on just the story and making sure that it was a worthy installment to this like long legacy of movies. You know what I mean? We tried very hard to kind of be our own thing, but still kind of fit along with the movies that have come before us. You know what I mean? That includes the Caesar trilogy, but also includes the '68 version. You know what I mean? We tried to somewhere fit in with both of those things. You know.
Watching it yesterday, there was a lot of films that kind of come to my mind. It was only afterwards when I saw on Google that you mentioned Apocalypto. I was like, oh my god, Apocalypto! That film, even though it wasn't like a massive blockbuster, has been such a cornerstone for so many filmmakers in terms of what Mel and all those guys did. What's it about that film that kind of triggered in your brain before you were?
Yeah, for me, people take that the wrong way. They think it's about some kind of revenge story, which it's not that. We don't have that kind of level of kind of chase and action, that kind of thriller aspect of it all. What we do have is that sense of a small, you know, isolated kind of pure kind of tribe that is kind of, you know, invaded by an outside force that they're unaware of, that kind of exposes them to this much larger world and kind of blows their brain. You know what I mean? It just, they're like, oh my God, this world changes them. You know what I mean? And then ultimately, by the end of the movie, it kind of you get the sense that a new door has opened and that there's going to be new conflicts and new challenges to kind of you know, overcome, and hopefully for us, you know, subsequent movies. So yeah, that's a big part of it. But that was early on. I was saying that, like, what if this was Apocalypto with apes? You know, that's how I kind of thought. I started thinking about it. You know.
In terms of, I know you've mentioned before about maybe having this as a trilogy of a new trilogy of movies, and kind of being removed, the 300 years or something is removed. You know, I know a lot of people have tried to do that in the past with, you know, rebooting franchise and all that kind of stuff. Have you got an idea of where you want to go, or are you do already?
Yeah, we do. We've been as all us and the writers and everybody and the producers. You know, Rick and Amanda had been, you know, they were obviously writers and producers on the previous three, so they were writers and producers on this movie too. So that DNA has been, you know, here from the very beginning. You know what I mean? So we have a good concept of like where ultimately we want this to go, and kind of to fit into what belongs in a Planet of the Apes kind of story, you know. And there's, like I said, we're the 10th movie. It'd be nice to become, you know, 11 and 12, you know. But yeah, if we're lucky enough, we've got ideas on where we want to go, and you can imagine it'll be hopefully bigger, better, and more complicated and more thought-provoking than ever. You know.
Yeah, and back to Ape School.
That's right. That's right.
Congratulations again. I love the movie.
Oh, cheers!
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
That's good to know. Thanks, dude.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey.